Hello everyone, my name is Roya and I'm going to be telling you all about my book-related goals of 2021 because I have a lot of them. This is iPod. She does not have any goals for 2021. She met all her goals for 2020. Her goals were to get enough beauty sleep and be a cat, so she did really, really well. And yeah, but I was not so lucky. I did not meet my goals and I'm sad. So anyway, basically my only real goals I had in 2020 for reading and whatnot were the standard read 120 books this year, which I totally failed. That is so, I just really did horribly at that. I barely even made it to 100, so whatever. And also to read all of the books that I acquired in 2019, which I epically failed at, and to also like read all the books that I was getting in 2020, which I also epically failed at. I have like a good 30 books that I got this year that I haven't read yet, so oops. Anyway, enough about that. 2020 was a disaster in every possible way, practically, so I guess it's really not a big deal if I didn't meet a couple of reading goals, like whatever. So anyway, I have way more interesting goals for 2021, so I'm really excited to share them with you. So firstly, I am going to try to read 120 books again this year, obviously. So that is always my goal every single year, no matter what, because it is just barely attainable. So that is a 10 book per month average, and in a good year that is in a good month that is how many books I read in a month, is 10 books. So reading 120 books a year is possible for me to do, but not easy, and that's why it's always my goal. So every year I tend to either like just barely make it or just barely miss it, and in 2020 I missed it by like more than 20 books, so I don't even know. It's bad. But anyway, that's my goal again. So another goal that I have is to get my NetGalley percentage looking really good. Basically, I have a lot of ARCs on NetGalley right now because I was reading a lot of ebooks because of the pandemic, and so I requested a lot of ebooks on NetGalley, and then I didn't actually end up getting to them because I fell into a reading slump, etc., etc. And then also the fact that publishers are sending a lot more e-ARCs via NetGalley than physical review copies so these days, so that has also made me end up with a lot more ebooks on NetGalley that I really need to get to. The reason why I want my percentage on NetGalley to be higher, I don't even have a specific number, I just want it to be kind of looking as good as possible, is because one of my most anticipated book releases of this year is the 7th book in the Green Rider series. So this is one of my favorite adult fantasy series, especially out of the ones that are still ongoing. I have been reading this series since I was 18, and I've mostly been reading these books as they're coming out. So I've mostly been going to the library and getting them because they don't just come out in paperback, they come out in hardcover, and it's really hard to find them for like a price that's not super expensive, so I just go to the library. And what happened last time, 4 years ago, when the 6th book came out, my library didn't even get it at all, and it took the library closest to me in the next county over to like forever to get it, and by the time it did, I basically I hadn't gone there in forever, so I had to like remember what my library card number for that library even was and all this other stuff, and so it took me like way longer to get it than I wanted to. I had really hoped to be able to read it right away because I had been waiting like a good 3 or 4 years for that book at that point. So this time I really I'm hoping that once it's on NetGalley, I will just request it on NetGalley and be able to read it, and just be able to read it right away and not have to like worry about when am I gonna get to read this book in one of my favorite series of all time. So I don't know, it's really silly, and it takes like a good 3 to 5 years for every single book to come out. They don't come out every year. These are adult fantasy books. They're pretty long. She writes them down down on paper first and all this stuff. Like, so it takes her a little bit to write each one. It's not like they come out every year. So I'm really, really excited. It's like stupid how excited I am about this book. So it comes out in September. It's called Winterlight, and it's the 7th book in the Green Rider series, and I'm really excited. So hopefully, anyway, that's a really long-winded explanation about why this is my goal. So my next goal for this year is to spend less than $100 on books. I don't usually put a limit on how much money I'm going to spend on books because I typically don't buy a ton of books really at all. But this year has been weird, and I tried so hard not to buy any books, and then I did buy some books, and I pre-ordered some books a lot more than I normally would. I wanted to support more authors, support more books, support my local indie bookstore, all of that other stuff, especially with Y'all West being canceled. Like right after Y'all West was canceled, right before, before the pandemic officially got really bad and all of that, I pre-ordered a bunch of books because I thought that, they were losing out on promotion with no book events. So I was like, oh, I'll pre-order some of the books that I want to read that might have been there. Like, I don't know. And I have all this money from not going to LA for Y'all West. And then, then when I lost my job, I didn't want to like cancel the pre-orders. That just seemed kind of mean. So I left them there, and that way I supported my local indie bookstore. So whatever. So basically I ended up spending about $250 on books this year, which is really not that bad, considering that a lot of them were like new, and I don't normally get that many new books. And I am really glad that the vast majority of that sum went to my local indie bookstore. So I like to think that hopefully I'm helping them in some small way. All of that. I did also get a lot of books from them for other people for Christmas and stuff like that. So I also plan to read the rest of the books that I acquired in 2020. So that means that that's a good 32 books right now that I have on my shelf that I acquired in 2020 and have not yet read. So I need to read those books like ASAP. I have a lot of them. That's a lot more books than I have from 2019 that I didn't read. I just really need to read these books. Okay. Finally, my last goal of 2021 is to end the year with under 100 TBR books that are physical on my shelves. So right now I have over 150. I have not counted. I'm not going to count. I'm just going to read as many of the books as possible and then count how many there are. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you are planning to get accomplished in 2020, and if you have any specific book related goals. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!